Shalom Uvracha. Shalom Aleichem, everyone who are with us and everyone who will join us in the future, all the holy souls, all the precious and wonderful, amazing people who are desiring the truth. There is a very important topic that I really want to speak about, and I know that unfortunately it never been discussed enough, no matter how much effort people are putting on working on themselves and purifying themselves and doing the best that they can really to improve and really to be better people. There are some things that are like harder than the rest to work on, and I think like I'm cooking that topic in my thoughts for a long time, and I'm not sure that I'll be able to cover it all. And even though a few weeks ago or maybe 1 week and a half ago, I tried to speak a little bit about a relationship between couples, and I have a video, a class that I gave once that went more viral than the rest of my videos, and talking about sex, about relationship, about attributes, midot between people. The main thing in Avodat Hashem is to see that the outcomes, the ability of a person to fix himself, to correct himself, depends really in his midot. Midot are attributes, are traits, and I think that it's very, very important for us to understand how important and how meaningful is our intention to work and to purify ourselves as people. And a person cannot be holy by going to a mikveh or learning Torah or praying, only by having the right intention while going to the mikveh and learning Torah and praying. If you do the Avodat Hashem without a heart, if you really not throwing yourself toward Hashem with your heart, with your intention, then your work in many ways will be weak, will be empty. And it's very important for people to understand that we need to work on the places that are hard for us to work. There are certain things that makes us embarrassed, and we don't want to talk and we don't want to discuss those things, and we try to avoid and to stay away from getting into those corners. But those are the most sensitive ones, and bringing us by not fixing and not correcting them properly to the worst places of them all. Means that the darkness that is coming down to the world is coming because that we're avoiding certain responsibility that is very, very important for us to take, and to take it seriously. I want to explain about the darkness, first of all, a certain introduction, a certain explanation that is needed for this issue that I want to talk about, is that the soul of Adam and Eve are the same soul that we have inside of us today, just that they were a gigantic soul inside one body, and because that the bodies went weaker and weaker with the generations, they are not able to hold and to contain the same amount of soul that was in the earlier bodies in the beginning, that were stronger. Therefore, the same soul of Adam and Eve is spread between all the billions of people in each generation, and passing from one to the next, and every generation and every person is able to fix and to do only as much as he able to, and therefore some of the sparks that still need correction are passing to the next generation, for the next generation to take the torch, the leadership, and to fix and correct those things that still need work. Very important to understand that the soul of Adam and Eve sinned. Most known and famous thing in the world from the story of Bereshit, of Genesis, that they failed, and that failure until today have not been fixed by us, and it's our responsibility to fix. Now there is something very, very deep about their failure and about their sin. It's a known thing that Adam and Eve failed with eating from the fruit of knowledge, the Pri Etz Hadat, and more than that, we know that after that, Eve basically what I'm trying to say is that there was a real mess and a big problem of relationship between Adam and Eve, and there is something that we lack of, and it's the honest understanding of how things really took place. It's kind of like we're not ready to deal with it, but I'm not sure that there is a way for us to postpone it and to neglect it anymore, because like that things in the first generation were all inside Adam and Eve, like all the souls that we're holding today were the general and the main soul of Adam and Eve inside of Adam and Eve. Also, the result of their sin means the failure, the negative outcome, the crash, the exile that we are suffering are actually the suffering that they are suffering. So think to yourself about one huge body, the body of Adam and Eve, and then it breaks down to millions and billions of pieces, and every one of us is in charge on one spark out of the huge soul of Adam and Eve. So the correction depends on us, that we will take responsibility and that we will make changes and correct ourselves and fix ourselves, and not only ourselves, also going to affect others, and by that we will be able to create an awakeness, a revolution in the work and effort of the souls, and by that to fix all the holy body of Adam and Eve. Now, why is it hard for me to speak about this topic and it's not flowing and I'm not able to tell you everything that I want? Mainly because it's very wide, because this topic is very wide, and I don't want just to run to one direction without bringing some completion to this conversation, that it will be understandable for you to grab and grasp what I'm trying to say, for us to be able to do something with it and not only to know. So it's very important to know that just by reading the verses in the Bible, like that unfortunately most of English speakers in the world, and especially the ones who are not Jewish, never been exposed to the deep layers of the wisdom of the sages and the scholars that learned the Torah and got in a beautiful traditional way the oral Torah, the deep meanings and the deep explanations on the verses. And therefore people, because they never been exposed to that knowledge of the Mishnayot, of the Gemara, and the explanations of the wise and righteous people of every generation, they just read the verses, and especially if they read it from the English editions that has many mistakes in them, and some of them are even have been twisted in purpose for people not to know the real message of God, and for people to believe in different methods that not going in straight line with the truth. And therefore, just by reading the verses, you can never know the complete picture and the complete knowledge of what really took place over there in the biblical time, and also what is the real intention of the verses for us today. So about Adam and Eve, it's an amazing story, and it's written, and now I'm going to tell the whole story as much as I'm able to. Also what that's written in the verses, and also what that the amazing genius, the holy righteous man Rashi HaKadosh, that wrote deep explanations and interpretations on the Torah, on the Bible, and we're going to bring his explanations as well. And the Bible is telling us that when Adam was just created and started to walk in the Garden of Eden, so the first thing that he did, before even knowing what his mission was, and before Eve came to the world, before anything, he was just suddenly a man in the Garden of Eden, and he saw all the animals around him, and the physical desire for sexual relationship woke up inside of him. And Rashi is explaining that Adam went and had relationship with the animals in the Garden of Eden. There was no teachers before of his time, no one taught him. He was completely unaware to the Bible, to the wisdom. He was a holy soul. He was a very amazing and spiritual soul that just been sent into a physical body. And the reaction of that physicality of Adam brought him immediately to have relationship with the animals. And this is something that it's very hard for us to understand. How can it be that such a godly and noble soul will find itself in such a weird position, doing such weird things? And he could not find no satisfaction from those acts with the animals, and therefore he went to Hashem, to the Creator, and cried to him and told him, I cannot find a pair, I cannot find happiness to myself. And then the Creator put sleep on Adam, on his eyes, and he fell asleep. And then when he woke up, suddenly there was a woman lying beside him, to his side. And immediately when he saw her, so it's written, Vayeda Adam et Chava ishto, that he had relationship with her as well. So you see that something is like very strong here. Like you see that the physical urge, the need of the male in relationship, in physical relationship, in having sex, is very, very strong. Now, what had happened as an outcome of that relationship with Eve, with Chava, is that after they were together, she went and started wandering and walking in the garden, And then the snake saw her. Now it's written that the snake saw them mating before, and he had a desire for Eve, the snake himself, and he wanted to be with her. And therefore he came and tried and successfully tempted her to eat from the tree of knowledge, from the Etz Hadat, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Now that is another thing, because when he was talking to her, when the snake was attempting her to eat from that forbidden fruit, he also kind of probably raped her over there in that situation. And it's written that he contaminated her, and because of that, men, children, the people, all her children are all contaminated and impure by the contamination of the snake. And we're not talking about words, we're talking about sperm, we're talking about seed, we're talking about a physical relationship that the snake had with Eve. And we're talking about something wild. We're talking about a very wild situation. And why it's so important for me to talk and to discuss a topic like that for sure, if you would ask me, I would most likely would never talk about it unless I would think that there is a huge lesson, a very big importance of talking about this topic. And I'm still not complete with myself, and I'm still not happy to expose the truth in that way, and of course in public and in front of people. It's something that like a person would be shy, would be embarrassed to talk about. It's not something that I feel comfortable talking about. But I see that there is a big importance in it. And what's the importance? That people usually they have a problem with the fact that there was a snake in the Garden of Eden. Many times we can ask ourselves, like, why in the world the Creator, if He sent us to heaven, to the Garden of Eden, to such a beautiful place, why to send a snake? Like, why that we're going to hear even that there was a snake, that he was evil, that he was mean, that he was the source of, like, the evil inclination himself. He was the source of bad. Like, why that a snake like that will go and attack us? We are willing, we want to paint the reality for ourselves in a way like we were innocent, we were there. The snake, he found Eve, and Eve was weak and not as strong as we would want her to be, and he convinced her to sin, and she failed Adam with the forbidden fruit, and because of that sin, so everything went off track, and things went bad, and we've been exiled, and we're suffering until today. But it's not the truth. It's not the truth. Because really the snake, and like, unfortunately, that's it's very painful, but it's not the truth. The truth is that we messed up. The truth is not that someone came and failed us, and because of him we failed. The real truth, unfortunately, is that we failed, that Adam failed. And the way that Adam failed was that he, immediately when he came down to earth, the first thing that he did was coming in touch physically with the animals. And immediately when he finished with that and it was not satisfying enough for him, he went and looked for something that will be even more satisfying for him. And he cried to Hashem, and Hashem sent him his wife, the woman, Eve, and then immediately he had relationship with her. Now, you can understand the physical need, let's call it that way, of a person to have relationship with his wife. This is something that, okay, let's say that we can understand. It's the nature of our physical body or something like that, an urge or curiosity or whatever that brought him to that place. But something is very off track when you think about the fact that in those first generations, the souls of the spirits of the animals were also coming in pairs to the world. Also today, of course, you have connections between animals, that you have mates, that you have couples between them. But back in those days, we can see that from the story of Noach and the ark, that the animals came in pairs. There was male and female, and it was husband and wife. And the holiness of that generation, the purity of those early generations, before the sins and before the confusions and the outcomes of the dark exile of today, or of earlier generations, but that came later after the days of the Bible. In the days of the Bible, things were very, very pure. Things were very, very innocent, or supposed to be. And if Adam found himself having relationship with those animals, so in a way, what that really happened was that Adam actually took a spouse of another animal, because animals came in pairs, because the Creator created them female and male, male and female. And by that fact that Adam found himself taking other animals' pairs, he opened that door for the snake to want to do the same. There was no reason for the snake to say, like, I shouldn't. And this is a very big important thing that we need to take responsibility for. And of course, what should we do now about Adam's sins? Like, do we need to hate ourselves for making mistakes in another body? Of course, it's impossible. But no, we don't need, and the Creator doesn't want us to fix in another body or while thinking of another person. The Creator wants us to understand that the outcomes of that early sin, of that violation, is still trapped and carved and scratched in our own spirit and in our own bodies. And the men, the male, they need to take responsibility on their actions, and the female, they need to take responsibility on theirs. The man, he wanted to sleep around and to throw his sperm to, he couldn't care less where to, and his urge and his desire was only to come and to find satisfaction in that sexual act. And female, right after they have been with their husband, so a certain passion woke up inside of them, that they went and found themselves having relationship as well with an animal, with the snake that was evil, with an evil personality, while committing another sin and hiding herself from her husband, and never told him the truth about it, and was hiding. And every one of them, and we need to take the responsibility and to learn from that reflection to ourselves, on ourselves, that we are until today open to those horrible violations. And of course that it's being reflected in our lives in different ways. You're not going and sleeping around with animals, you're not going and sleeping around with snakes, God forbid, but you are still stuck with those crazy passions and low desires, and your mind is twisting and bent and falling and crashing in very bad ways. And when we're learning that the reality of the secret of creation is that the same soul of Adam and Eve is passing from one generation to the next and dressing itself in different forms and different bodies, makes us today all guarantee for each other. We all need to take full responsibility on what it happens in the world, even in other people's bodies. So if, let's say, there are people in different countries, in different cultures, from different nations, in different societies, still those are sparks of who you are. Maybe in a greater form, maybe in a larger perfection, but still it's like it's your sibling, it's your sister, it's your brother, it's like it's your child, it's one of your organs, and you're also an organ. It's like fingers on the same hand. And if in our generation people can molest children, can still go and have crazy sick relationship with animals, if you have human trafficking and children abuse in like kidnapping children and raping them for years, and things like those are happening on daily basis around the world, horrible things, we need to take responsibility on that. We need to understand that we still have a problem, even if your life so-called look normal compared to those lives. Because the fact that you are not physically doing those horrible things does not make you not to be a partner of those things in a way, while being partner with those souls in their being, while being who we are in this generation. Because the generation together will be redeemed, and the generation together is responsible to our actions, to our deeds. And we need to be very, very serious about it, because souls depends on each other. And even if you are finding yourself that you are in a way higher level than those poor people that are doing such horrible things, and you almost not sinning in those things at all, and you find yourself way purer and higher and cleaner than those people that like can do horrible things that you never did. Let's say that you never raped no one, never even thought about it, never abused no one, never thought about minor. Okay, I understand, it's normal. Most of the people are not active in those rude and horrible ways, but still, the fact that you might hurt a person that depends on you, let's say your spouse, a partner that you allow to be with him, but still you won't be sensitive enough, you won't be kind enough, because that souls depend on each other. So the branches that depends on you will get that darkness as the result of your negative actions. Means that if you somehow was not kind enough, nice enough, supporting, respectful enough, loving enough, you were too self-centered or cruel or hard, or I don't know what, something cold, vicious, something focusing on yourself, by that you blocked the door from the spiritual bounty that depends on you to pass to those branches, to those souls who are depend on you. And every person on earth, we have many souls that depend on us, and the outcomes of our mistakes can lead other people to horrible mistakes. If, for an example, you are in a higher level, like we said, so you're like a commander, you're like a captain, And as a captain, when you make mistakes, all your team, all your crew, all people who depend on you might fall because of you and crash. And you just sat in your office and made some mistakes, and other people that their life depend on you, they crashed. They have been killed. Like a commander that gives his order and just sending messages. Yes, go to the right. Yeah, I'm looking at the map. Go to the left. Go to the right. And oh, wrong term. And here 7 soldiers died. Like, it's not you. Nothing happened to you. You made a mistake and they died. So like people in different countries, people from different nations might die, might do horrible things, and it is the outcome of your mistakes, of our mistakes, of my mistakes. And every person should take that responsibility, full responsibility on himself to understand we guarantee we have a spiritual soul that is filling us, that is one. The one soul of Adam and Eve is dressed in different bodies. And even if you are an elevated body, even if you are from a soul that represents and show the light of the brain of Adam and Eve, of the heart of Adam and Eve, and different people might be lower organs, the hips, the thighs, different organs, and like the heel of Adam and Eve. Even if you are a higher one, it just makes your responsibility more heavy on your shoulder to fix and to correct. And so it's time to explain. It's time to explain that we should, first of all, never desire things that not belongs to us. Never ever to think about another man, about another woman. Never ever. Not to look to the sides. And if you see that while looking normally on the world, you see other people and it makes you sick, it makes you desiring them and wanting to look at them and stuff like that, you must protect yourself. You must work on yourself, not to look, not to stare, not to make another step. Of course, not to watch filthy things on your phone, on your computer, porn and stuff like that. Always to clean yourself and to stay away from those filthy things, because when you allow yourself to sin, even if you say, look, but I'm not hurting no one, I'm not hurting no person, you don't know the real outcomes of your actions. You can never know. There might be that a storm will hit an island and 50 people will die because of your violation. It might be that some guys in a different state will rape a 12 years old girl in a park in the middle of the night. You don't know. And it's hard, and I know I never speak about those topics, and I'm not enjoying and not happy to talk about those things, and I'm always trying to stay away from any kind of negativity, of explaining things in a way that might hurt a person, because people are very sensitive and immediately blaming themselves. Look, what have I done? I was doing this and I was doing that and I ruined. People are very fast to judge themselves and criticize themselves. And even now while I'm talking, I'm asking myself all the time if I should leave this post, or maybe I should erase this post, if I should post it to the rest of the channels, or maybe to just like throw it to the garbage, to erase it and not to let more people hear it. But I think that we need to take responsibility, but of course not to criticize ourselves and blame ourselves, and not to hate ourselves and not to fight with ourselves, because it's not going to help in a way. To fall to sadness and to depression and to blame ourselves for our failure is not the mission, is not the advice. The advice is first of all, to understand the purpose of this class and of understanding those things is for us, first of all, to be aware to how the system works, how the creation works. And now if you want to fix, and that is the real message, that we need to fix, that we need to correct ourselves, it's only and only and only by correcting our actions from now and on. You cannot touch the past, you cannot fix the past. You can only fix today, and it will affect the future. Do you have any access to the past? There is something that you can do back there. No, you don't have no connection, physical ability to reach the past and to do things over there. You don't have those hands. You don't have that ability to travel in time to the past. Therefore, you cannot chase and blame yourself for the past as well. It won't help. You're just going to drain your powers, and you're just going to make yourself weak and confused and lost with self-hatred and self-blame and negativity in so many forms, and therefore it's not useful, and it's not important, and there is no use for us to hate and blame ourselves on the past, only to learn today and to correct ourselves in the future as much as we can, and to do good, and to be nice, and to be kind, and to be gentle, and to care, and to love, and to be sensitive to our partners. And if, like, a person is thinking to himself, I'll give you advice. If, like, unfortunately I'm getting thousands of emails and messages from people who are suffering, people that are addicted to porn, wives that suddenly hear about their husbands that are addicted to porn and watching porn for years and masturbating, or men that are going to prostitutes or stuff like that. Or it's horrible, it's sick, it's very painful, it's a downer, it's a very sad story. It's a very painful story that there is no love and attraction and passion inside relationships of people, and people are not happy with their wives, with their husbands. People are not satisfied with what they have, and it's very painful, it's very hard, and it's very dark. And for me, when I see those people, when I see that people are suffering so badly, so greatly, I want to help. I want to help. I want to find ways to see how to give you an advice that will help you to climb out of that darkness. And it's very important, and it's very needed for people to understand that if you sin, if you violate the rules of the Bible, if you do things against the way of truth, so you're doing something bad, and the outcomes will be very painful to others. And how will you know how to recognize your mistakes if you are doing something wrong or not? Because sometimes a person can tell you, look, she doesn't know, they don't know, no one knows, like I'm doing it like with myself, it doesn't hurt no one. If you're lying, you are already wrong. If you are lying, if you're hiding something, so that's who you are. Like, you're lying, you're a liar. If you're not telling something to your wife, if you're not telling something to your husband, that's who you are, that's where you're holding. And the blessing of heaven cannot hover upon a person who is lying, who is hiding, who is doing things behind the back of another person. And therefore we must take the full responsibility on our actions to be people of truth. Now, it doesn't mean that now you need to go and throw all your junk and all your history and kill your wife with it. No, you don't know, I did this and I did that, and now I want to be a man of truth, and kill her. No, you don't need to kill her. First of all, correct yourself and fix yourself and give her some very, very good years and make her a happy person for 10, 20 years, and then go and confess. Don't come and kill her now with all your filth and all your darkness. Throw it on her. No, take full responsibility. Be nice. Be kind. Be sensitive and understanding and loving and compensate her for years of sorrow and loneliness. I don't know what to say. There is no greater pleasure than to make another person happy. There is no higher pleasure than make someone that cares about you feel that you care about them. It's the most satisfying thing in the world to know that you're able to make someone else happy, to see your children happy, to see your wife happy, to see your friends, your family, everyone happy around you. It's the biggest joy of them all. When you're trapped in a selfish place that your lust and your desire makes you blind for you to want all the pleasure for yourself, you need correction. And when you will correct yourself and going to work on yourself, so then also those souls who depends on you, not only your family, also rest of the souls that spiritually depends on you, will enjoy the light of your correction and the purity of your fixed actions, and spirituality will start flow into their channels, and they will rise and will go out of those horrible places of imaginary world of lusts and desires, lack of purity, holiness and good. So that's it. I think that I made it. I was able somehow to bring down this piece of spark of knowledge that I wanted to share with you guys, and I need to see how to deliver more wisdom to you guys, and how to channel more holy and pure advice for you guys that will be available for you to work on yourself in better ways, and for you to rise and shine for the success of our world and our mission to bring the redemption and the great salvation for the world. If any of you wants me to speak about certain topics, teach from on like certain things that are important for you, please share. Please, you can write it down in the comments, and we will try to do the best that we can to answer your will and your needs. And that's it. May Hashem bless us and heal us all, and correct our actions and fix our attributes, and make us happy and satisfied with spirituality, and not in a great need for physicality. Thank you, and bless you, and be well always. Amen.